Hey guys, Zect here and welcome to my new video. Today we will have a look into the Awakening Drakania a bit. I was able to play her already on the console version of Global Labs, pretty much. So I tested already Awakening Drakania a bit with like decent gear, and yeah, had a little look into her kit and all that stuff. So we will go over all the skills today, and I will explain them a bit. Obviously, I just played it a bit, so I'm not fully into the class yet, especially because I also had a look into Awakening and not how this synergizes with pre-Awakening. So, but yeah, we have to see when it comes out. So, first off, I think most of the people that are already interested in the class already have seen some of her skills. We will quickly go over all the skills and I will explain a bit what I experienced so far, where you can use them. So first off, we have the E-buff. 30 AP, critical hit rate 30%, all accuracy rate 10% attack speed. Nothing too crazy. Good ebuff, solid. No extreme quality of life mechanics or something, but a decent ebuff, just pure damage. So then we have the grab. It's super armor on grapple, like every grab with the floating CC. Decent damage actually, with only 30% minus PvP, so the damage is quite high actually, so you will be able to do damage with the grab, and also kind of can show the range. It's about that kind of I think that's a bit too far. That should still work, yeah. So it's a bit of range actually. You definitely have a bit of range on the grab. It's not like other range grabs, for example, Nova's, for example, or also Hush is also a bit further. I don't know about Lan, but her grab is definitely also a bit range. It's not super melee, so you can grab targets relatively reliable with that. Really nice. So then we have the auto attack, pretty much basic, nothing to it. So we can stop talking about that. Well, next we have the skill Legacy. That's pretty much your swap between your stances. So you have two stances. One is called Hexblood and one is called Dragonblood. When you have the Hexblood stance activated, you get a 10% attack speed buff for 1 hour, so you pretty much have it all the time as soon as you enter the Hexblood stance, and a 15 AP buff for the Dragonblood stance. You can also see the stance that you're in on under your resource bar, so you always have like an eye on what stance you're all in right now. So this skill is pretty much there it does a bit of damage, however it's just there to frontal guard and you switch the stances. Pretty much, it's not more. It's just like a little swap. There's other ways to swap between stances that are, in my opinion, way better than just having this frontal guard. It also not really lingers, so you can't linger that and just stay in the animation. So yeah, it's okay to have if you want to swap like on point, but there are better ways to swap. Next we have Fate Beacons, or beacons. It's pretty much unsafe knockback engage, okay damage, actually minus 12% in PvP with 50% crit rate on those numbers is actually okay. Can be used as an engage or re-CC, however I also think you have better options here, but maybe if you get a catch somewhere ranged, you can use that to follow up. So is okay. Next we have the Dragonflight, one of my absolute favorite skills. That skill is so cool. I will quickly show this. I will probably also have some other clips for you here that I tested this with. It's a pretty much flying ability. The range is much further than I first thought. I saw clips already where you can fly into Calphion Castle, or the Pegasus just using that ability. It is really cool, and it's something that's really unique for the class, and I mean it's super dope being a dragon and fly around. So if you use the whole skill, you have roughly, it's 15 seconds cooldown. However, if you use the full duration, it's roughly 10 seconds you have it off, so it's actually reliable in use. So next up we will come to the Hexblood skills. So all the skills you see here now are Hexblood stance skills. You pretty much have the same name for skills. They're just different versions there, but they are also completely different and they share no cooldown. So it's not like if you use Tip of the Scale and Hexblood and you switch to Dragonblood, you can still use Tip of the Scale in Dragonblood. So they don't share a cooldown, so pretty much you have 2 Awakening casts that are fully usable all the time, that have different cooldowns. And yeah, so with Tip of the Scale for the Hexblood version, the Hexblood, from what I've experienced, is the Hexblood version more, also because you get the 10% attack speed, it's more 1v1 or damage, combo damage focused. And yeah, you can also see this in numbers here. So you have it, it's an unsafe skill, but if you look at the numbers, damage-wise especially, it's a longer skill, like it's definitely, no, that was wrong, let me keep pressing Y, man. We quickly swap. It's a bit of a longer skill. This is why it has so many hit stages, kind of. But it's decent damage, only 30% minus. Crit rate could be a bit higher, 12% accuracy is okay. And you get an accuracy self buff from 9%. This is also why it's a good combo skill. It's a stiffness knockdown, really good for like stiff mid 3cc into knockdown. A hard CC, and you have 2 dots on it as well, with 50 pain and 50 burn damage. Next we have the Savage Decree for the Hexblood version. It's a float with air attack with 2 dots and decent damage. Also here crit could be a bit higher. PvP damage is okay. Modifiers. It looks like a combo skill, unsafe. Pretty much, yeah. We have to see what skills are the best, so I can't really say if this is the best skill for a combo. But air attack with a float is generally speaking a good thing, because air attack is a really good modifier, like it gives you tons of damage. There's a float to this skill that also does decent damage, actually really good. High numbers, 10% accuracy, down smash as well. I have it on the hotbar, it looks like that. You can also use it from the hotbar if you want to link it after other skills. What's really nice, because down smash skills, you want to have them at the end and not at the beginning or the middle of the combo. Spiteful Soul, a frontal guard skill with also here multiple hit stages, so really sticky. 40% crit rate. Could be higher, so it's fine though. PvP damage modifiers are nice. Burn damage and pain damage as well. Let's have a look into that skill. It looks like that pretty much, and as you can see, it also activates the flow that we saw earlier, the flow Concealed Claw. Next one is one of my favorite skills in the Hexblood. It's Aerial Burst together with Flow Obliterate. I hope I pronounced that correctly. So what this flow does, it's actually a passive to this skill. And if you use that and you are in Hexblood stance, it will activate that instead of this. So as you can see, you have like the first attack is max 4 hits, but the second one is a lot of damage. I also fought a few Drakanias already. This skill really chunks. It does a shit ton of damage. You have a core skill for it, what's really nice. We will come to this later. It's a DP shred, a down attack, and a down smash. Really nice skill, and you can use it for trading and for finishing combos, or just as a combo filler. So we can quickly see what it looks like. Looks like that. The core skill has a stiffen into knockdown, but like I said, we'll come to this later. Next we have Thundering Roar. This is an unsafe skill again, with dodge damage again on the stun with down attack. The damage is okay, but the PvP damage is a bit higher here, so you have less damage in PvP, but the numbers are really high, so it should be still decent damage. For comboing or as a re-CC, to be honest, I think there are better options, generally speaking, because you also have this wind-up. There is probably a few cancels to it. There's probably 100% there will be a few cancels to it, where you can directly cancel into the last hit, so where you don't have the wind-up for filler damage, or just to re-CC your target. But as you can see here, the Hexblood kit is really like combo focused. The next one you have is Tectonic Slam. It's also an unsafe engage with float on the last hit and an air attack, decent damage and evasion shred. You also have a core skill with super armor here. I also picked this up today to fight a few Dracs because this is a really nice engage, especially when you have a PvP float on it with a super armor. As you can see, I have the core version of this skill. With an evasion shred, really nice. I'm not too sure if you can use this actually in combos, because close up it is You have to see, because of the evasion shred, I'd much rather see the evasion shred on a different skill, but to be fair, it's fine. She's already really strong in terms of accuracy, so I think that's okay. The next is Crackling Flame. This is pretty much a filler, not much to say about it. Okay damage, and it's resource recovery, so I guess you can use this after grab maybe, or just in general as a filler. Where I see the skill useful is in PvE, because it's a recovery skill. In PvP you don't really want to do that sometimes, or you have better skills where you want to maximize damage. But yeah, it's just a little filler you can use for PvE and PvP as well. Storm Piercer, unsafe combo skill again with a knockdown, a really nice damage. As you can see again, you get a air attack, down attack, and burn and pain dot again, and it recovers a bit of health. So this is also not really bad, because Drakania Awakening has not the same sustain as Succession has, nowhere near. So HP recovery is much needed. Also probably good in PvE as well. Storm Mole is one of your movement skills. It's an iframe into super armor on a 7-second cooldown with okay damage, but the damage is like most important part here is that the movement, that is a movement skill. It moves you forward. It has a nice little AoE at the end, and it's an iframe into super armor on a relatively good cooldown. So this is really nice. I really like that skill. This was it before the Hexblood skills. If you have any questions for the Hexblood kit, let me know in the comment section, and we will move to the Dragonblood stance now. So we will switch to our Dragonblood stance now, and the Dragonblood stance is way more like, it's more AoE generally speaking, and I think it's more trait heavy. And one thing that's also different, as you noticed maybe the crit rate on the Hexblood version, the Hexblood skills were like from 25% to I think to 25. You have 100, like this skill is 100%, but the rest is like from 25 to 50. And the Dragonblood stance, every skill has 100% crit rate in PvP and PvE, so the damage crit-wise is definitely a bit higher here, but you will see this if you see the numbers and the PvP modifiers are a bit higher, so you do less damage in PvP. I don't know what will be being better, so we have to test this when it comes out, what skills will be better to use in combos or in trade-in, but yeah. So for tip of the scale, it's pretty much the same as tip of scale for Hexblood. It's just different damage, but it's also a down attack with knockdown. So you have the same option with the same input for the Dragon Blood version. However, I think when you want to re-CC, this one is way better. It has way more damage and the accuracy buff and the dots. So, but you still have the option to use that Dragonblood stance as well if you are on Dragonblood stance and you want to re-CC someone. You also have like 25% Black Spirit version from it, where I'm not really sure if that's not bugged, because it says it has no PvP minus reduction. So 1096 times 10 with a knockdown and with all evasion rate minus without any PvP damage reduction is a lot of damage. Really, it's really a lot of damage. It's really high damage, even if it's not, if it has no crit or no accuracy, without any PvP modifiers. This is really high damage. I don't know if that's intended or if that's not maybe a visual bug. We have to test it out when it comes out. So the next one is Savage Decree again. We have a super armor on this time again, so as you can see, this is already a bit more protected. You have less accuracy, but 100% crit rate. The PvP modifiers are a bit higher. You still have the 20 DP debuff though. Looks like that. Definitely a nice skill. Not the fastest, but it's a decent trait. And maybe also combo skill, but I would just see this as stacking super armor and just trading your enemies. The next one is Spiteful Soul. Super armor again. Decent damage, less accuracy than the Hexblood version. You have a 100% crit again. No PvE, the float is only PvE, but you have a super armor. It looks like that. Yeah, so Spiteful Soul, this one is safe. If you compare this to the Hexblood version, It has more PvP minus, but it has more crit rate, but less accuracy. So, yeah, overall, I would say the Spiteful Zone Hex Soul is more damage. But we have to see when it comes out. It's really hard to say with like 100%, 40% crit and all this reduction. Oh, actually, this one has lower PvP minus, so maybe this one is actually better than the other one. But we have to test this. Next is Cloud Strife. There's also a float turret, so we can quickly show that. Looks like that. It's not the fastest, so if you see someone, it's probably your whole combo already if you use those two skills. But maybe it's a good PvE skill, or you can't do this really on the hotbar, but you can use it after the second hit of tip of the skill, what is not the worst. So maybe if you get a knockdown, you can use that one as a follow-up. We have Stormpiercer. This time it's unsafe, 100% crit, a bit less accuracy. It's a stun, but it has only 33% minus PvP with decent damage on 100% crit. Definitely good. However, it's unsafe. So yeah, filler damage. I don't know. I think there's no core skill for it, but yeah, pretty decent skill overall. So next we have Thundering Roar. So this skill, probably a lot of people have seen that already. It's the laser beam skill. I like to call laser beam. It has 32 hits. So initially, when I saw the first skill on paper, it had less damage and way more hits. So it was like 800 times 50 or something. But they kind of changed that, and I like this because a lot of hits also means a lot of hit stutter, so just increasing the damage and lower the hits a bit. I mean, 32 is still like a lot. That's fine. 100% crit rate, 10% accuracy, super armor to forward guard, and a debuff, 70% minus PvP damage. So obviously with that many hits, you can't have crazy damage, like you can't have just like 50 or 40%, otherwise the skill would be absolutely broken. It is a nice skill. You have to be careful though. You are locked. You can cancel it, but you are kind of locked in the animation if you use that. And I don't know how it's for PC, but on PC you probably are able to mouse move it. On console, though, you can't mouse move it. So you will be stuck if you use the full like length of the skill. However, you can cancel out of it with your iframe and like everything else, or what you can use to cancel. Yeah, decent skill, really cool skill overall. I like the idea. It's really like nice that you have like a skill with Dragon Roar. It's a cool idea. If it's really super useful, I don't know yet. We have to see. But yeah, from what I've tested so far, from the fights I had, this was definitely not the best skill in the kit. There were skills with way higher damage, so don't expect just to roar into 10 people and everyone just dies in 1 second. Obviously, it depends on gear and everything else, but okay. Next, we have Flow Execution, one of my absolute favorite skills. It's a forward guard, insane damage skill. It has high hits, 100% crit. It has a dot, and it's just a forward guard, sadly. However, it is really high damage. It's kind of a long animation, but if you hit it, it chunks really hard. So frontal guard trading with that skill, really nice. No CC attached to it though. It's normally the flow from the Dragon Roar skill, but you can use it from hotbar. I probably would also recommend using it from hotbar than after Dragon Roar, because Dragon Roar locks you in place so long, and most people that know that you use that will know it's a frontal guard, and they will try to punish you for it. So going with this one for the hotbar is definitely one skill I would recommend at this stage of my experience. So next we have Doombringer, also one of my favorite skills in the kit. Super armor, iframe, super armor, 100% crit, decent damage, down attack and air attack, okay modifiers. When it comes to PvP, it's not the highest burst damage, but it's okay. It's mostly to reposition and get the iframe off. It's really nice. It looks super cool, and yeah, you can. It's on a 10-second cooldown. You can use to dodge damage or to finish someone off, but it's not like a one-shot skill. But it's really nice. I really like that skill. It's also your 200%, I think. Yes, it is a really nice skill. Next, we have Crackling Flame. Crackling Flame I think it was the same as the Crackling Flame here. It's just like a filler. It also recovers resource. It has a knockdown though, so you can use it actually as... Okay, it says F. That's funny because I think F is B, right? Yeah, okay. So, yeah, it's a filler damage you can use to re-CC. It has kind of good damage, 100% crit, 8 hits in a total with nearly 112, so 1200% on only 33% minus PvP. Good, decent damage as a combo filler. Tectonic Slam, next skill, super armor. During the animation, can quickly showcase how that looks. You kind of blast something in front of you. Has a decent damage as well, not the highest. 50% minus, pretty standard trading skill. However, still decent. It's not the fastest though. But yeah, those were the Dragon Blood skills. And we are quickly coming to the core skills. And for the core skills, there's something special. Because from what I've seen, there is only core skills for your Hexblood stances. So you can't pick any core skill for your Dragon Blood stances. So you can't pick up, I don't know, like a CC on that skill, or I don't know, like a better... I mean, it is really protected already, but you can't pick a float on Doombringer or something. So everything you have is in the Hexblood version. The one I found most useful so far is Tectonic Slam. What is your engage skill in Hexblood? This one. And Aerial Burst. This is the super high damage one. It leaves you a bit stationary. However, this first hit is a stiff, and the second one is a knockdown, so stiff into knockdown. AoE stiff into knockdown, actually. So definitely decent. I fought Drakanias already with both cores, and both cores are absolutely viable. The rest I didn't found as useful as those two. Probably they're... Because forward guards, if you have like strong SAs or strong CCs as a course... yeah, you can also pick Thundering Roar for the stun in Hexblood. I guess that's usable as well. However, I think the other ones are still more useful. But you can just pick whatever you want, just to have. Yeah, if you don't know what to start with, just maybe try to start those two at the beginning. So, when it comes to other things, we have discussed all the skills. One thing I also want to mention is you have your Dragon Walk and your iframe in Awakening kit as well. So, technically, there is no reason to switch to pre-Awakening that I see really. Your damage is higher. Like, you have still the CCs, but not really a lot. You have your PA. You definitely can use your PA still. That's definitely usable. And you can also use like your bumps to buff yourself up. And yeah, you can pretty much use the pre-awaken kit, but I don't really see a reason to use it that often, like to swap constantly. There's probably not a reason for it. One thing I want to mention though is that the iframe in pre-awakening lingers still way longer. So when you do the iframe and you see how long the iframe is actually there, if you do this in Awakening, you will notice that the iframe disappears way faster. So if you want to linger your iframe a bit longer, you have to utilize the pre-Awakening iframe instead of the Awakening iframe. However, with all the other iframes that you have, like this one and the Doombringer, and this one's also only 3 seconds, I think you don't really need to. Because this kit is also a bit faster in my opinion, and you have more options when it comes to skills in general. But just to mention that. So another thing I want to mention, you still have this the skill Markatana's Heart for the recovery. However, this is just for pre-awakened skills. I don't know if people will use that, because when it comes to when I compare Succession to Awakening right now, I think when people would ask what do I think about large scale performance with Awakening compared to Suck, if Suck stays the way how it is right now, I think Succession will be better. Just because Succession Drug has more damage, it one-shots pretty much. And there's not much, like, it can't get much better than that. And with Awakening, this is not quite the case. Obviously, it depends on gear, right? If you're fighting gearlets or people way lower geared, yeah, you will one-shot them, sure. But, like, equally geared, and especially because you don't have those recovery in Awakening, like you have in Suck. If you would fight a Drakania, like, just trading Suck the Awakening, and you would not use your grab right, I know the Awakening drugs way better than what he wants, but just like in like a large scale environment, those recoveries are huge, like really huge. You have not really any protected good heals in the Awaken kit, so if you want to, you can still utilize your pre-Awaken heal, but then you have to use pre-Awaken skills, and yeah, that will cost time. And you also don't do that much damage with your pre-Awaken kit. But it's still an option you have if you want. So, with that being said, guys, I will just play in some Drakania footage from today. I played against a few Drakanias, 1v1. We also had some 2v2s that were really nice. So, if you have any questions, leave them in the comment section. And I will stream tomorrow, and so Saturday, the 24th and 25th of July. I will do a few streams with Drakania on my channel, so if you just want to have some questions, if you want to check out how she is, if you want me to do some stuff with her, we can do this, or I can test stuff for you, because there's only a quite limited amount of people that have access to this at the moment. So yeah, I will arrange a few streams for you so you can watch them and come by and have a look into Awakening Drakania kit. With that being said, guys, thanks for watching, leave a like and a sub, and we see us next time.